Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tokenomics design playlist. The first step in our 7-step process to designing our tokenomics is setting the objectives and requirements. As a disclaimer, as a reminder, this is for educational purposes only. It's not legal, financial, technical, or investment advice. Again, this is the first step out of 7, and we're going to go through each step video by video, step by step, as we complete this design process. To do this, we're going to follow through the tokenomics design canvas. And you can see that this is a step-by-step process that has multiple different pieces that we're going to complete. The objectives and requirements is the first step of this process. Just a quick overview before we dive in. Remember that tokenomics starts with solving problems, right? So you want to think about how your users currently solve the problem that you're fixing for them. Good tokenomics are win-win-win. They improve the product, they benefit holders, and they reward contributors. And when it comes to benefiting holders, you want to think about specific utility that the token provides, right? Is it access to a discount? Is it posted as collateral? Is it access to a service? Is it tracking the value of another asset, et cetera, right? Or is it potentially earning a share of protocol revenue? Although that might only be possible for decentralized protocols. You would need to talk to a lawyer about that. But staking, price speculation, and just because you need to raise funds, those are not utility for a token. And so if your token has no specific win-win-win benefits, then why are you launching one, right? You need to go back to step 1, back to the drawing board, and think about what you're even doing in the first place. But assuming that you have a token that has win-win-win tokenomics, we dive into the first step of the tokenomics design canvas, objectives and requirements. Here you'll see we have columns A through G that we're filling out for different roles. So what do I mean by a role? Well, we're looking at a curve, a CRV token example. So the AMM protocol curve. You want to complete a row for each role in the ecosystem. So for example, liquidity providers is a common role, people providing liquidity via curve. Traders is another common role, right? People actually executing trades, people taking liquidity. And liquidity bribers is another role specifically to the curve ecosystem, where people have a token that needs liquidity and they're using curve rewards to incentivize having liquidity for their project. And so what you want to do is fill out the roles that are common to your ecosystem. And the roles will carry over in each step of the tokenomics design canvas. So you want to fill out the roles that are specific to your ecosystem. And then you want to start filling out columns B through G, one row at a time. And so, for example, we'll just walk through liquidity providers in this video to keep things short. Liquidity providers, their problem is that they have assets but lack income, right? They have these assets that are not producing income, so they're just sitting there unproductively. How do they solve that without your product? Well, they provide liquidity in other volatile pools in the case of Curve, right? Or they do centralized lending. AMMs existed before Curve, centralized lending existed before Curve. So those are some alternatives to Curve that liquidity providers used. How does your product help, right? So how does Curve in this case help? Column D. Well, Curve, if you recall, although they've moved a bit away from this more recently, but if you recall, when it first started, Curve was only for stable pools. So things like different stable coins in the same pool, right? Wrapped Bitcoin and Bitcoin. So there's not volatility between the assets. And so people can provide liquidity in stable pools and earn yield, but with less impermanent loss because the prices of each asset in these pools is not moving as much. And in this case, the CRV token enables rewarding liquidity providers and allowing user governance of directing those rewards, choosing where those rewards are routed. How does that benefit the product? Well, by rewarding liquidity providers, we're increasing more depth, we're increasing more liquidity being provided, which increases the depth, increases the liquidity, increases the benefit to traders in turn, because everybody benefits from more liquidity, and we increase user engagement via the token because of this active governance required to direct the rewards. So the token benefits the product by increasing user engagement and increasing depth of liquidity. And finally, why is the token valuable to holders? Well, if I'm a liquidity provider and I'm holding the token, I can choose how to direct the rewards I can choose it to direct to pools that I'm providing liquidity in, and I can share in the protocol revenues. Again, this might not work for everyone. For something like this, you would especially want to talk to a lawyer, but in Curve's case, they do pay distributions from protocol revenues to holders of CRV tokens, and that is a benefit, one of the values to holding those tokens. So that's filling out the objectives and requirements sheet. If you're following along, you can try filling this out for traders and liquidity bribers as well, but in the interest of time, we'll just do it for liquidity providers. And now we've finished that, and up next, we'll talk about the value accrual process. Keep in mind that this whole process, the tokenomics design process, is iterative, right? It's very, very normal that you complete a step or two and then realize, oh, I didn't think about this, or this has got to change, or this doesn't work, and I just thought about it. And you need to go back a step or two and change things and repeat those steps. Completely normal, completely expected, and a healthy part of the process. So you can find all these resources, including the tokenomics design canvas, at these links. And I'll see you in the next video for value accrual.